Today on the newscast, Israeli officials deliver a dire warning to the UN about the coming northern war. So will the UN take action? Get my take next. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. We've told you here in the newscast over the years about the UN's persistent anti-Israel bias. Folks, here's an example for you. Since the modern, miraculous rebirth of the nation of Israel in 1948, the UN has passed more resolutions against the world's one and only Jewish state than any other nation. More resolutions against Israel, if you can believe this, than it's passed against communist China, Cuba, North Korea, the Iranian regime, the Assad regime, or the former Soviet Union. More resolutions against Israel than all of those other nations combined. So that is the situation for Israel at the UN, where it seems that Israel is always fighting an uphill battle against, again, that rampant anti-Israel bias at that global body. Well, Israel's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, was in New York City today meeting with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. He was joined by Israel's ambassador to the UN. And folks, they were delivering what I consider a dire warning about the coming Great Northern War. Now, they didn't use the terminology Great Northern War. That's what we call it here on the Watchman Newscast. The coming showdown between Israel and Hezbollah and the Iranian regime to Israel's north in Lebanon and in Syria. Basically, Israel is warning the UN and by extension warning the world that, hey, this is reaching a point of no return with this increase in Hezbollah and Iranian provocations along that northern border. We're going to break it down for you and also hear from Israel's ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, in a minute. Before I do, quick reminder number one, hey, if you have not subscribed to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. The mainstream media is largely ignoring this, what I consider important meeting between Israel's defense minister and UN ambassador today at the United Nations. These could be looked at as last-ditch attempts by Israel to get the world on board to avoid a potential war to the north. So the mainstream media should be covering this, but they're not. No surprise there. But we are here every day on the Watchman News channel, so be sure to subscribe. Hey, we are fast approaching 700,000 subscribers. Hard to believe. We'd love you to be on board with us as watchmen and women on the wall for such a time as this. Speaking of which, one of the great issues of our time is the rise of AI, artificial intelligence. That is the name of my brand new TBN special airing Tuesday, the day after Labor Day here in the States, Tuesday, September 5th on TBN at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We dig into the rise of AI, what it means for you, your family, your faith, and your future. Here's a sneak peek. It's been hailed as a technological revolution that could change the course of humanity forever. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is taking the world by storm. So what are the benefits and potential dangers of AI? And what does it mean for believers and the church? I'm Erick Stakelbeck, and I'll be joined by a panel of experts to break down the rise of AI and what it could mean for you, your faith, and your future. It's coming up right here only on TBN and the TBN app. Again, folks, that is September 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on TBN, the rise of AI. Don't miss it. Maybe the most important special I have ever done. That is not an understatement. I truly see prophetic implications with the rise of AI. Speaking of prophetic implications, back to Israel and that coming Great Northern War. Again, Yoav Gallant delivered the message today to the UN, basically saying, do something. You have right now, the UN, a 10,000, I believe it's 10,500 strong force, peacekeeping force called UNIFIL on the Israel-Lebanon border. And the whole rationale for the existence of UNIFIL is supposedly to prevent a war between Israel and Hezbollah and to prevent Hezbollah from stocking up on advanced weapons that it would use against Israel. Well, folks, surprise, surprise, that has not happened. The last time Israel and Hezbollah fought a war was back in 2006. And 17 years on, Hezbollah has expanded its arsenal exponentially under the noses of UNIFIL. Nonetheless, Israel is saying, hey, they're there, they're 10,000 strong, they're supposed to be doing something to rein in Hezbollah. So again, not a desperate plea, but maybe a last-ditch attempt by Israeli officials to deliver the message to the UN. Basically, if you don't fulfill the role you're supposed to do there along the border and step up, war is coming. And why? Yoav Gallant laid it out for Gutierrez today. Iranian provocations. He was very clear. Iran is pushing Hezbollah to ramp up the terror attacks against Israel, to breach, as we've documented here in the newscast many times over the past few months, to breach the Lebanon-Israel border and to essentially try to provoke Israel into a confrontation. When you have an existential threat gathered on your northern border, Hezbollah equipped with some 150,000 rockets and missiles pointed at every inch of Israel, probably even more than that at this point. Israel eventually, folks, let's not kid ourselves, will be forced to act. I call it the Great Northern War. I talked about the Iran and Hezbollah threat with Gilad, Erdan, Israel's ambassador to the UN, who was in that meeting today alongside Yoav Gallant. We sat down with him recently for the Watchman in New York City to talk about those gathering threats and what Israel must do. Folks, it's a short clip, only a few minutes long. Make sure to stay till the end of this short clip to hear about what Erdan says about a potential Israeli strike against Iran's nuclear facilities. Take a look. Saudi Arabia recently normalized relations with Iran. Are you concerned about that in relation to the accords, number one? And secondly, talk more broadly about Iran, its proxies, that Iranian axis, and the threat it poses.
Today, when you look what's happening on the ground, their audacity, they are enriching uranium to almost military-grade level, 84%. They are attacking civilian vessels, endangering maritime trade. They attacked Albania's, a Muslim country, Albania's cyber infrastructure. And as we could all see, they got themselves involved in Ukraine by supplying attack drones to help murder Ukrainian civilians. So, and the international community is still dragging its feet.
And attacking the U.S. as well in Syria and Iraq and U.S. bases.
Unbelievable. 79 times they have attacked American troops in the Gulf. The situation is grave. And if you ask me what should be done immediately, first of all, one of the old Iran deal, what we call the JCPOA, must trigger the snapback mechanism at the UN immediately to stop the bleeding. And that's the way to reimpose the international sanctions over Iran, those crippling sanctions that we, in the past, brought them to the negotiating table. Today, you have only the US sanctions that are being imposed over Iran. But if you ask me, are these sanctions sufficient? Definitely not. Because, Eric, when we're dealing with rogue states, when we're dealing with a ruthless regime like Iran that is murdering and oppressing women, shooting peaceful protesters, allowing people in Isfahan to suffer and live without water, economic sanctions are not sufficient. And even if we trigger the snapback mechanism, it might take so long that it will be too late for all of us. So I think we should all remember the wise words of President Roosevelt, who said, speak softly and carry a big stick. Sure. Unfortunately, sadly, the international community have been speaking with the Iranians softly for too long. Now it's the time to present them with the big stick, a credible military threat that would force the Ayatollahs to decide between their own survival as a regime and their crazy nuclear ambitions. That's the only way. And let me add one more thing, which is very important for me. For Israel, since we are in a very unique situation, it's an existential threat, we're not going to wait for the international community. We are already working to develop our military capabilities, and in order to defend our future, All options are on the table. All options.
Folks, as you can see, Israel means business when it comes to Iran's nuclear program. And what Erdan said right there, I hope you all stuck around to see it, was that, look, we will do what we need to do. Whether the world wants to help us or not, we consider a nuclear Iran an existential threat. Fasten your seatbelts, no doubt. It's one thing for me to say it. It's another thing when it comes out of an Israeli official's mouth, like you just saw. Bottom line, Israel means business, and they should mean business, because this is indeed a nuclear Iran, an existential threat to the world's one and only Jewish state, and a threat to the entire free world. Hey, if you like that clip and you want to see more like it, tune into our weekly Watchman TV show on TBN. You can see it every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, also Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can see the full interview with Erdan and more on our weekly show. We're in Israel and points beyond throughout the region, so you'll love the weekly 30-minute show. Also, tomorrow, quick programming note, a live stream here on the channel between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to join us with your questions for our Q&A session going live right here on the channel at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I will see you then. Until then, thanks so much for joining us here today. God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.